Hey guys, hi, welcome back to MRM Astro Services. I'm Dr. Varun, and today we'll be talking about marriage to predict the exact timing of marriage with the help of Saturn and its transit to begin with. And I'll take you through a couple of examples through the slides. And I hope you like the video. Please watch the video fully. And if you like the video, please subscribe and leave comments in the comment section if you have anything to ask for. Looking forward, guys. Bye. Hi guys. So today, as discussed in the intro, we'll be talking about marriage. तो शादी होने के लिए शादी का समय जो उचित समय है वो देखेंगे कि कैसे बताया जा सकता है। तो हम सबसे पहले 3 घर को देखेंगे। ये कौन है 3 घर और क्यों ज़रूरी है शादी होने के लिए। सेकंड हाउस, 7th हाउस एंड 11th हाउस बेसिकली। So second house is basically about the family, the extension of family. ध्यान से सुनिएगा. And 7th house is basically about spouse and the marriage. So whenever the 7th house gets activated, one gets married. And 11th house is obviously its manifestation. So if you want an extension in the family, that you can see in the 2nd house. If you want to see the spouse and the timing of the marriage, you look at the 7th house, and then if that has to manifest, you'll have to look at the 11th house. So these are the primary factors. Now, which are the planets which are very important for marriage? One is definitely Saturn. Guys, Saturn as a planet is always considered to be not so auspicious. It's malefic. But whenever Saturn moves, whenever Saturn transits from one house to another house, you see a lot of changes in all the aspects of our lives. But today we'll just stick to marriage. So whenever the prime and the most important thing is the transit of Saturn, we'll see with a couple of examples later. So the planets important are Saturn. So Saturn gives that 2.5-year period, because Saturn transits in every house for 2.5 years. So that's a big bracket. So you can't wait for 2.5 years for marriage. So now what more will you look at? First you look at Saturn. गौर से सुनिएगा. शनि जो हैं सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी हैं. जब शनि एक साइन से दूसरे साइन में जाते हैं तो ट्रांजिट में जाते हैं, तो वो मैं बताऊंगा कैसे, बट मैं शुरू कर रहा हूँ. और दूसरा प्लैनेट कौन सा है? गुरु. गुरु बल के बिना शादी होना नामुमकिन है. तो गुरु के भी बारे में बहुत ज़रूरी है, गुरु का भी आशीर्वाद होना शादी के लिए. और चंद्रमा भी बहुत ज़रूरी है. चंद्रमा डिसाइड करता है कि कौन से दिन में शादी होगा. दैट इज़ मून डिसाइड्स exactly the date when you're going to get married, because moon travels quickly. It takes 27 days to travel across all the 12 signs of the horoscope. And Venus plays a very important role for it's more so for a man, because Venus denotes wife in a man's horoscope. So Venus plays a very important role in a man's horoscope. Obviously, it does play an important role in a woman's horoscope also, because it's about luxury, manifestation, and so on and so forth. And finally, Mars. This plays a huge role after Saturn in predicting the exact month of marriage. Now, when you look at Saturn, I was talking about Saturn and how does Saturn affect through its position. Obviously, positioning of Saturn is number one, and then the transit of Saturn. Now in this slide you have an Aquarius ascendant. जो Aquarius जहाँ लिखा हुआ है, that is the 1st house, और जो Leo लिखा हुआ है, that is the 7th house. So basically, if योर सैटर्न इज एफ्लिक्टेड. एफ्लिक्टेड का मतलब है अगर सैटर्न किसी भी घर में खराब भाव में हो. यहाँ पर कहाँ बैठे हैं? यहाँ लियो में बैठे हैं, सिंह राशि में बैठे हैं. एंड द रूलर ऑफ द sign is sun. So Saturn sitting in the 7th house being afflicted by either the sun or the moon will delay the marriage appreciably. I'll repeat, for any ascendant, if Saturn joins the luminary and sits in the 7th house, more so if Saturn is afflicted in the 7th house, rather Sun or Moon is afflicted in the 7th house with Saturn being there. And since Leo is an inimical sign for Saturn, and if it sits in the 7th house either with Sun or with the Moon, means it's a delayed marriage. And sometimes, if Saturn is severely afflicted in the 7th house, it means the marriage may be denied also. So that is how important Saturn is. Now, you'll also have to look into the houses. Now, as I discussed earlier on, the most important houses are the 2nd house and the 7th house when you talk about marriage. Now, 2nd house and 7th house, if there is a retrograde Saturn placed or aspecting the 2nd lord or the 7th lord from anywhere in the chart, जहाँ मैंने काले में 2nd और 7 लिखा हुआ है, that means it's the 2nd house and the 7th house of the horoscope. So if you have a retrograde Saturn in the 2nd house or in the 7th house, it can create a lot of problems in marriage. So again, a retrograde Saturn in the 7th house or in the 2nd house, again I'm repeating myself so that you guys understand. अभी तक मैं समझता हूँ कि आपको सारा कुछ समझ में आ गया. वक्री शनि दूसरे भाव में या सप्तम भाव में अगर हों, या उनके स्वामी को अगर देख रहा हो दूसरे के या 7वें के, तो शादी में बहुत दिक्कत आएगी. 30 साल के बाद ही शादी हो पाएगी. तो ये हो गया रेट्रोग्रेड सैटर्न या वक्री शनि हम जिसको कहते हैं, जिस किसी के कुंडली में हो. If you look at a horoscope, there'll be Saturn and then next to the Saturn it will be written R. That means retrograde, Vakri. तो ये हो गया गलत पोजीशन है शनि महादेव का. अब हम बात करते हैं शनि का अगर अच्छा भाव में होना. सपोज अगर हम शनि की अगर बात करें जहाँ 7 लिखा हुआ है, the place where it is black 7. If Saturn is placed either in Libra, Capricorn or Aquarius, being exalted or in the own house or powerfully sitting, not afflicted, then then the marriage is going to happen early and obviously you're going to have a happy married life. समझे दोनों का डिफरेंस? एक होता है वक्री शनि जो 7वें और दूसरे भाव को प्रभाव कर सकता है, और दूसरी बात है कंप्लीटली उल्टा. अगर शनि 7वें भाव में बहुत मजबूत होकर बैठ जाए बिना अफ्लिक्शन के, तो बहुत खुशी शादी होती है और जल्दी शादी होती है, एंड यू विल हैव अ हैप्पी मैरिड लाइफ. नाउ व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट Saturn's transit, you would have heard Saturn is the slowest planet and it takes 2.5 years to move from one house to another house. So basically there are 12 houses in the horoscope, natal horoscope, and it takes roughly 30 years for Saturn to complete one cycle. So when you're looking at Saturn's transit, it is very important to understand that Saturn sits in a particular house for 2.5 years. मतलब शनि अगर एक घर में 2.5 साल बैठें, या ट्रांजिट में जब 2.5 साल किसी के घर में बैठें, तो हम 2.5 साल तो इंतज़ार नहीं कर सकते ये बताने में कि शादी कब होनी है. सो बेसिकली यू कांट wait for 2.5 years just because Saturn transits in a particular house for 2.5 years. So then you'll have to look at the other factors. For that, I'll come back. I'll let you know as we proceed. So now the conditions. Now we spoke about the position of Saturn previously. Now we are talking about the transit of Saturn. मतलब गोचार कुंडली में. So now this is the crux of everything. Now this will tell you when the marriage is going to happen. This is a rough thing, but ये नहीं होगा तो शादी नहीं होगी. इसका होना ज़रूरी है. Saturn is the prime. So basically there are 4 conditions, out of which you'll have to have one of the conditions for marriage to happen in the first place. Now, when the transiting Saturn aspects the natal Saturn by its 3rd aspect, ठीक है, मैं ये चीज़ें पढ़ लीजिए, मैं एक बार पढ़ लेता हूँ फिर स्लाइड्स में जाता हूँ. When the transiting Saturn aspects the natal Saturn by its 3rd aspect, जब भी गोचार शनि का गोचार में वो अपने तीसरे नज़र से नेटल शनि को देखते हैं, मतलब शनि कुंडली में जहाँ है, हमारे कुंडली में जहाँ है, तब शादी होती है. जब दूसरा, जब ट्रांजिट जो गोचार में जो शनि है वो अपने कुंडली में जो जहाँ शनि बैठे हों वो आइदर खुद के घर में हो या फिर 10 डिग्री आगे या पीछे हों, तब शादी होती है. तीसरा, when the transiting Saturn aspects the natal Saturn by its 7th aspect, that is basically opposition, सामने बैठे हों, मतलब अगर किसी का शनि अगर कहीं भी हो वो 7वें दृष्टि से अगर उनको उसको देखता हो कुंडली में, या फिर अपना 10वां दृष्टि से देखता हो. ठीक है, ये हम स्लाइड के साथ देखेंगे. ये 3rd एस्पेक्ट हो गया. मैंने मेष लगन का कुंडली ली है. I've taken an Aries ascendant where the transiting Saturn is in the sign of Leo, all right, and जो शनि है कुंडली में वो 7वें भाव में है. कहाँ पे? तुला राशि में. I'll repeat in English. I've taken an Aries ascendant. Saturn has 3 aspects. The first aspect is the 3rd aspect, and then the 7th aspect, and then the 10th aspect. Now this is the 3rd aspect, where Saturn is sitting in the 5th house, where it is written 5, and aspecting the 7th house. This is the 3rd aspect. Second condition, wherever Saturn is in the natal horoscope, the transiting Saturn is also there in the same house, which is the 7th house here. I've again taken a Aries ascendant. Or if Saturn is either in the 6th house or in the 8th house, within 10 degrees to the natal Saturn. हिंदी में समझाते हैं. यहाँ मैंने मेष लगन का कुंडली लिया है जहाँ पे 7वें घर में जिनका भी होरोस्कोप है, अगर 7वें घर हो, 7वें घर में शनि महाराज बैठे हैं, और जो गोचार में जो शनि जाएंगे वो आइदर 7वें घर में ही हो, मतलब तुला राशि में ही हो, या एक घर पीछे या एक घर आगे. एक घर पीछे हुआ 6ठा घर, एक घर आगे हुआ 8वां घर, 10 डिग्री के अंदर. मान लीजिए आपकी शनि 22 डिग्री बैठे हुए हैं 7वें घर में. देन फिर आपका जो 6ठे घर का या 8वें घर में, 6ठे घर का होना चाहिए 25 डिग्री, वो 10 डिग्री के मतलब 10 डिग्री के बीच में होना चाहिए, इधर पहले भी या बाद में भी. समझ गए? So what I'm trying to say is, if your Saturn is 5 degrees in your natal horoscope, the transiting Saturn should either be in the 6th house at around 28 degrees or in the 8th house at around 3 or 4 degrees. It's मुश्किल है 8वें घर में, बट 10 डिग्री के आसपास गोचार में होना चाहिए. तो ये हो गया. दिस इज द सेकेंड एस्पेक्ट, where Saturn has the first aspect, which is the 3rd aspect. This is the 7th aspect. Now again I've taken an Aries ascendant. The natal Saturn is in the 7th house, and the transiting Saturn should aspect the 7th house through the 7th aspect, basically 180 degrees. तो again मेष लगन की कुंडली हैं, 7वें घर में शनि महाराज बैठे हैं कुंडली में, और जो गोचार में जो शनि हैं वो मेष राशि में है, तो वो 7वें घर को देख रहे हैं. ये हो गया सातवां एस्पेक्ट. एंड दिस इज द 10th एस्पेक्ट. 10th aspect is the fourth condition for marriage. So again I've taken the same ascendant, which is the Aries ascendant, where it is 1, and Saturn is sitting in the Libra, exalted in the 7th house, and the transiting Saturn is in the 10th house, which is Capricorn. So from Capricorn it is aspecting 10th aspect. So these are the aspects. So all these four conditions, one or the other, four conditions has to be there for marriage to happen. And suppose ये conditions पूरे नहीं होते हैं, तो मान के चलिए शादी बहुत डिले होगी या शादी बहुत ही खराब जाएगी. तो Saturn plays a very important role. This is the prime. You can look at your own horoscopes. Where was Saturn when you guys got married? This is for all those astrology enthusiasts or people who want to get married. So what are the first four conditions you're looking at if you're wanting to get married, or people who have already got married? So you need to see these four conditions. That is Saturn's third aspect, that is from the transit Saturn to the natal Saturn, 7th aspect, and then Saturn sitting in the same house, Saturn transiting, and then the 10th aspect. So this is about the Saturn. So these four conditions have to be fulfilled. Now, what are the cases where Saturn might play a spoilsport in marriage? That is, whenever you have an afflicted Saturn. Now, what do I mean by afflicted Saturn? Saturn is in either Leo or aspected by Mars or debilitated in Aries. So, basically it means afflicted Saturn. Wherever Saturn is afflicted, it destroys that house. Generally also Saturn does not do well, but for a Taurus ascendant or for a Libra ascendant, Saturn does well. For instance, for a Capricorn ascendant, Saturn placed in the 7th house is not great. And for an Aquarius ascendant, Saturn placed in the 7th house in Leo is not good. That is what this slide says. From Aquarius, it's the 7th house. And so this is basically wherever Saturn sits. And if it is badly afflicted or with the luminaries, then it gives extremely bad results when it comes to marriage. And the place where I've put Saturn is assuming Saturn is in Leo. And so the other three things are the aspects of the transiting Saturn on the natal Saturn. Suppose if you have a Saturn in a Leo, where I've put the Saturn symbol, and if the Saturn is transiting in Gemini, then it is the third aspect. And if Saturn is transiting Saturn is in Aquarius, then it is the 7th aspect. And if transiting Saturn is in Scorpio sign, then it is the 10th aspect. Even why I've put the sliders, earlier I said those four conditions, but in spite of those four conditions being met, if you have an afflicted Saturn, let's assume, in this case it's in Leo, so marriage will be delayed or badly, extremely bad when it comes to even if marriage is happening. So for that, basically you need to have an afflicted Saturn. So if your Saturn is well placed, then well wishes. Now what is this? This is a chart where I have Venus in the 7th house of the horoscope. Now Venus is supposed to be a super benefic, right? Now Venus sitting in the 7th house as a Karaka of the 7th house. Venus is supposed to be the Karaka of the 7th house. Alone will destroy the 7th house. And that is where you say a benefic becomes a malefic. In Sanskrit, they say Karaka Bhavanashaya. Matlab, Venus being the Karak of the seventh house, being in the seventh house, alone in the seventh house, will destroy the seventh house. Now, what will help the seventh house? Again, the Saturn's influence. तो सिर्फ शुक्र का सातवें घर में होना अच्छी बात नहीं होती है, यही चीज़ है. तो now, whenever the same Venus, when it is associated with a strong Saturn in the seventh house, will purify the Venus and ensures marital happiness. So now you understood what all we spoke. We spoke about the four conditions. We spoke about how Saturn is important for timing the marriage. And now we are talking about a super benefic for Venus, which is very important for marriage, and how it can destroy marriage, being a Karak of the seventh house. Now, so now we can say Saturn is also referred as a Lord in timing the events. Extremely important. So next time, if you're looking at a horoscope and the timing a marriage, look at the Saturn and the transiting Saturn. मतलब अगली बार आप किसी की शादी के बारे में सोच रहे हैं या देख रहे हैं, ये ज़रूर देख लीजिए कि गोचार में शनि कहाँ है और आपकी कुंडली में शनि कहाँ है. और अगर शनि अपने तीसरे नज़र से, सातवें नज़र से या 10वें नज़र से कुंडली में जहाँ शनि बैठते हैं वहाँ देखते हैं, तो शादी होने के चांसेस वहाँ से शुरू हो जाता है. बट हाँ, बीच में जैसे हमने डिस्कस किया था, Saturn should not be afflicted or Saturn should not be retrograde in the important houses of 2 and 7 especially. And Saturn should not be there with the luminaries. These are the conditions. Now, let me take you through the transiting. Now, once we've done with the Saturn and Venus, we'll also look at the transit of Mars, Venus, and the Jupiter. Now, why is this important? Now, Mars is a Karaka of it denotes husband. Mars and Jupiter denotes husband in a woman's horoscope, and Venus denotes wife in a man's horoscope. तो इनका भी गोचार में कुंडली के सातवें भाव में देखना बहुत ज़रूरी हो जाता है. So you can't, whenever you've decided or whenever you've looked at your horoscope or anyone's horoscope, if you're looking at, and you have seen the transiting Saturn as well as the natal Saturn and the aspects, now once there is a tick mark there, you go into the transit of Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, and the moon also, to ascertain the exact day or the month of the marriage. Understood? So the four important planets are Saturn, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus. That is the fifth planet for a male horoscope. Now let's see this through an example. Now this is a chart of a lady called Anita. I've not disclosed the original name, and if you can read what I've written, it says she got married on the 28th April 1999. And if you look at it, as I've told you, Saturn as transit is very important. You can see the marriage happened when the Saturn was transiting in Aries. All right, and aspecting the Saturn in the natal horoscope in Gemini. So basically, Saturn for this particular chart is sitting in the 10th house, and the transiting Saturn entered Aries on the 17th April 1998, and it stayed there till 7th June 2000. So that's 2.5 years of Saturn's transit in a particular house. Now, the natal Saturn is in the 10th house, and it's a Virgo ascendant, and this is about the ascendant and the degrees and the planets, where the only thing which you have to look at it is you'll have to look at the Rashi here, which is Rashi in the Nakshatra, Mesha Rashi, Ashwini Nakshatra, fourth pada that is. And you also have to look at Saturn, which is placed in Rahu's Nakshatra. And you can look at Moon, Mars and other placements, which is denoted in this chart. Now, why did the marriage happen on the 28th of April 1999? The first thing which I told you, Saturn entered Aries. Where it is 1, I've put a Saturn symbol so that you understand. And the arrow mark is the aspect. And icon which I've done is a transiting planet. And the chart, obviously, wherever the planets are. So if you can see SAT in the place where it is written 3, that is the 10th house. And Saturn is aspecting the 10th house with its third aspect from Aries. Correct? Now, what are the other things which we'll be looking at? Now, it's 2.5 years. So, you can't wait from 1998 till 2000 for the marriage to happen. So, now you'll have to find out the year of marriage as well as the month of marriage. Now, you will look at the year of marriage because Jupiter enters Pisces on the 26th May 1998 to 27th May 1999, which I've written in the heading section. So, 26th May, once the transit of Saturn started, the countdown has started for marriage. Now you're looking at the exact year of marriage. For that, you'll have to look at the Jupiter. Now the Jupiter enters the Pisces. So, which is, now where is Pisces? Pisces is the 7th house for the native. So Jupiter has entered the house of marriage, which is the 7th house. That is a transiting Jupiter basically. So you'll say, since Jupiter is going to be there 1 year in a particular sign, the marriage will happen from 26th May 1998 to 27th May 1999. Correct? Now for the exact month of marriage, you look at Mars. Now, while Mars was transiting the ascendant, which is the Virgo, right? The marriage got fixed. That is why I've made 2 Mars icons. One is when the marriage got fixed, that was a month prior, that is when Sun entered Virgo in transit, and the marriage actually happened when Mars went into the Libra sign, that is 7th house from the natal moon. Where I've written 1 and moon is the natal moon in the 8th house, and you have the Mars transiting the Libra, which is 7th from the natal moon. When I say natal, it means the planets as it is in the horoscope. When I say transiting planets, those are the planets which I've put it in those symbols basically. So now you understood why in April, because Mars was transiting 7th from the natal moon. So you have 7th house, which is very important. Now first thing was Saturn. Now that has to happen. So that happened. Saturn is aspecting the 3rd house. Now we are looking at Mars, Jupiter and Moon. Now we looked at Jupiter. Jupiter transited from 26th May 1998 to 27th May 1999. So that is the year the marriage is going to happen. So you've come down from 2.5 years to 1 year. Now with the Mars transit in Virgo, that is 6 where it is written, that is where the marriage got fixed. And the marriage actually happened when it went into Libra sign, which is 7th from the natal moon. So that is, the month is also clear. Now how do you say that it happened on the day? Because moon was transiting the 7th house of Pisces. That is a 2-day period. So now if you have understood well, I'll repeat myself. There are these 4 conditions of Saturn, and the first condition, that is the third aspect of the transiting Saturn on the natal Saturn, invariably the marriage happens during that time, because you're roughly the marriable age, which is around 22 20s and till 20 late 25 26 27, especially for women. You're looking at the third aspect, that is Saturn transiting Saturn 3 houses behind the natal Saturn. And now in this case it is the third aspect. And after that you looked at Jupiter's transit, that is 1 year transit. You came down from 2.5 years to 1 year. And now the third thing, that is the Mars. You know it gave you the month, and now the moon transit, it gave you the exact day or 2 days, like 1 or 2 days. And then obviously the dasha and antardasha are important. And so basically the marriage happened during the Saturn's aspect, third aspect. And it also happened, if I have to tell you the dasha and antardasha, when it happened during Sun and Mercury's dasha and antardasha. Sun is the strongest planet in this girl's horoscope. It is a Atmakara too. And it is sitting in the 11th house of manifestation, I told you before. And while the marriage happened, Sun was transiting Aries. That is the natal moon. That is number 1 where it is written. And if you actually also have to go in a bit deep, moon is also in the constellation of, where is moon? Where is moon? Moon is in the constellation of, moon is also in the Aries, in the Ashwini Nakshatra. That is ruled by Ketu. And so it was very clear. The sun came, the moon came. These are the additional planets. But majorly the Saturn came. After Saturn, Jupiter came. After Jupiter, moon aligned, Mars aligned. After Mars, moon aligned. And then sun also aligned. So the marriage happened in the Aries time. That was between, the month is like, Mars transit was 17th April 1998 to 7th June 2000. So the marriage had to happen here. But the marriage had to happen before the Jupiter left Pisces, because Jupiter was in the 7th house of the natal horoscope, which is giving the natal, the native Guru Bala also. Understood? Now let's go into the second horoscope. Now we are looking at the horoscope of Chitra. Again, name is not disclosed. And the marriage happened, as it is written, you can read that, 27 November 2009, during the sub-period of Mercury and the major period of Saturn. Now, why the major period of Saturn? Because 10th house Capricorn, wherever I've made a Jupiter's icon, that is ruled by Saturn. So it happened during the Mahadasha of Saturn. Jupiter was transiting Aquarius from 2nd May 2009 to 2nd May 2010. And Saturn was also transiting Aquarius, and it was aspecting, Saturn was transiting in the sign of Virgo, where I've made this icon. And Saturn is placed in Scorpio, which is the 5th house of the natal horoscope. Right? So Saturn, through the third aspect, is again aspecting the natal Saturn in the 5th house. So the first condition again goes through. Now we'll have to look at the Jupiter's condition, transit, that is. So Jupiter also was transiting in the Capricorn, and so it's the 7th house in the natal horoscope. Correct? And it gives you that 1 year period, that is, the marriage had to happen. Now when the first condition got through, the second condition is to ascertain the year of marriage. So that had to happen between the 2nd May 2009 to 2nd May 2010, while the Jupiter was in the 7th house, which gives it a Guru Bala. Now it is also So basically, yeah. So Jupiter was there in the 11th house, aspecting the natal moon, right? Through the 7th aspect. So the second condition is also taken care of. Now, what is the third condition? You'll have to have your Mars. Mars is sitting along with the natal Jupiter in the 7th house. So that gives you the month of marriage. And Saturn, at the time of marriage, Mars was at 22 degrees in the natal horoscope. Now, why at 22 degrees? You can ask, but yeah, it was at 22 degrees because Moon was also transiting the 7th house of the natal horoscope, which is the 10th house. I've not mentioned that symbol there because Moon moves very quickly. So once you're sure of your Saturn, in this case it is sitting in the Virgo, aspecting the natal Saturn in the 5th house of Scorpio, and you have Jupiter sitting in the 8th house, aspecting the natal moon in the 2nd house. So 2nd house came in, 7th house is activated, and you also have Mars, which is transiting the 7th house. So 2nd is activated, Saturn is activated with the Saturn's aspect, and also the moon and the Venus and the moon were transiting the constellation of Uttara Bhadrapada, which is the constellation of Saturn itself during the time of marriage. So that can ascertain the exact day of marriage. And obviously Dasa and Mahadasha are important. Now I've just put 2 examples here. I can give you countless more examples where Saturn is very important in the natal horoscope for marriage to happen. So if you want more examples, I can place in more examples. Put that in the comment section. If you've understood, let me know, give me a thumbs up. And I hope you like this video. That is how important Saturn is. The position of Saturn in the natal horoscope plus the transiting Saturn for marriage to happen. That is the first condition, the natal horoscope and the transit, and then to ascertain the exact day and month and the day, year, month and day, you'll have to look at Jupiter and Mars in a for a woman, but Jupiter is there for both man and woman because it gives you the Guru Bala, and Venus in a man's horoscope and Mars in a woman's horoscope, and Moon gives you the exact date, and the constellation the exact date, because even Moon is also there in a particular house for more than a day. So that's about it, guys. I hope you understood. Looking forward. Thank you so much once again.